Good morning, everybody. This is Ryan, and it is past time to get started. I apologize, but please give me a confirmation if you can hear me. Tom, Brenda, yep. All right, very good. Well, I apologize for being late. Let us begin, and I'll give you a quick explanation. No excuse, but an explanation. Um, we are starting, as we always do, with a reminder that nothing that we will talk about today can be or should be construed as advice or guidance on any particular trades. The market definitely has risks, and everything you do should be done with an eye to the fact that there is risk in the market. And what I will be doing is helping you or giving you direction and guidance on techniques, on information that I think is important, but certainly not to be construed on construed as any advice or guidance on any particular trades. All right, that is the always the disclaimer that we have. That said, we strive, we meaning everybody that you listen to on any of the productions that Rob puts on for you, are striving to give you the absolute best and most valuable information that we can. I happen to have a long storied history with Rob and love him dearly and would endorse anything and everything I've ever heard him say in terms of what is valuable to his students, because it's what he believes in his heart. I know that, and I can just give you that assurance as an additional confirmation, because sometimes in this room you'll have people that are absolutely brand new that are wondering, what's going on, what I get myself into, and you're going to be sitting figuratively right next to people who have been in this training process with Rob and other instructors like myself for years, literally years. And there's a reason why they continue to be students. One of my favorite principles that I've ever learned is that the best teacher is also the best student. And that the point that you quit learning is the point in which you basically have no meaning in life. That's just my opinion. Okay. Because I honestly think that there has to be purpose, right? There has to be something that drives you to get up every morning. And for me, it is, in fact, learning. I love to learn. I'll share one thing with you that I think is a really fun little maxim. And that maxim is that it takes 5 to 7 times over the same material having an aha experience before you truly embrace it or internalize it. Internalize it would be the better word. Before you totally internalize something, it takes 5 to 7 times of having an aha experience for saying, oh, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. Okay. Um, and that's can be frustrating when you think that I get it, right? I've got this down. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. And the truth is that people involved in education will tell you that in fact it does take 5 to 7 times of you saying, okay, I get it, I get it, I get it, before you really do. And if you've been a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because your kids will go, yeah, I get it, Dad, I get it, Dad. And you're going, no, no, you don't. We're going to be having this conversation again. Okay. We're going to be having this conversation again. So with that in mind, guys, there is absolutely nothing wrong with hearing good information over and over again. You want to hear new stuff for sure, but hearing good stuff over and over again is the way you learn it. It just is. And in fact, I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but I would love it. It's not full screen. Let me just make sure I'm sharing the right page here. Sorry about that. Let's see if this shows up full screen. How about now? Let me get the chat back up here. Let me try it again. Anyway, I don't know if you've had the experience like I have, which is you're going over something that you've gone over many times before, and you wind up hearing something or seeing something you never saw before. You go, wait a minute, when did they slip that in there? Um, I thought I had this down. You understand what I'm saying? You're reading the same thing, and then suddenly you're going, hey, there's new stuff in there. How about now, Barry? Is it full size? Perfect. Okay, great. Thanks. But you know what I mean. I'm pretty sure. And so repetition is the mother of skill. Repetition is the mother of skill. All right. So that's our disclaimer. I would remind you of the calendar of the items coming up, the events. And again, I just applaud Rob. I happen to know how difficult it is to produce content over and over again. Um, and it's what Rob does is beyond anything I have ever endeavored to do on an ongoing basis. It's a Herculean task. And so I salute him and encourage you to take advantage of everything that comes along. Okay. All right. Including this little gem that's coming up. All right. And I saw this and thought, you know what? There's probably a lot of new folks that really need to jump into this and start repeating over and over again good, wise counsel because it takes a while before you really, really get it. Okay. All right. So the principle repetition is the mother of skill. Going over things, you will see new things and hear new things that you missed. They were there, but you weren't ready to receive them. That's the aha experience. I call it the red forehead experience, where you slap yourself on the forehead, go, dang it, okay, I knew that, I knew that. Yeah, yeah, that's right, I remember that. Well, yeah, you remember it because you've heard it 5 times and it's finally sinking in. And eventually, about between 5 and 7 times, it sticks and it's yours forever. Got it? All right. Brenda says, I see the joke's on you. Yep. All right. So I have a theme today. Johnny Carson, who some of you don't even, Johnny who, used to have a fun little segment on his show, late night. He's the original late night host. And it was called Stump the Dummy or Karnak, but they called it Stump the Dummy. But it was a fun little skit. But before we jump into that, let me just tell you, I'm late this morning. Uh, no excuse, but a reason. We're living right now, and I'm warning you that the internet might drop off. Where we're living right now is a temporary transition location because we are moving in 2 months to our home in California. We're moving down to live with our daughter who has cancer, who's just finishing up her cancer treatment. She's got 5 kids, and we want to be close to our some of our grandkids. We have 15 grandkids total. Very blessed for sure. But 5 of them live down there in Southern California. She's going through and coming out of a very challenging cancer saga that's been going on, and we just want to be down there. So we're going to leave the Northwest and move down there. We bought some property. We're going to build a home down there, and so getting ready to move. It is very chaotic trying to close up the business up here. Where we're living, the internet is sketchy enough to where this week, a couple of days ago, we went and bought one of those or leased out one of those. It's a hotspot router, wireless router from Xfinity, so that we can try to get better internet. The good news is I look to my left and we've got the most incredible view of Lake Sammamish through the pine trees. It's just a wonderful place to live for a couple of months before we move down there. But things have been chaotic and they will continue to get more chaotic over the next couple, 3 months as we make this transition. So I notified Rob yesterday or 2 days ago that I'm not going to be able to do this class for the next 2 or 3 months. So I'll let you guys know that right now. And this morning I had some business, some wires that were supposed to got out yesterday. We couldn't do it yesterday because of the internet. And this morning I was having difficulty with them. They were important. A lot of money needed to be wired down to some folks. And so that was a distraction that overrode being able to be on time. My apologies. Okay. My apologies. And with that, quite frankly, I had the option a couple days ago to say, look, I just don't have time this week to do this class. Um, and I didn't. I really didn't. To do the preparation, it takes me 2 or 3 hours to prepare to teach you guys for an hour. Um, and I just didn't. But I thought, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do anything. So I'm going to come on today and we're going to play Stump the Dummy. I apologize if it doesn't entertain you, but I'll tell you what, um, there is a principle in this repetition and the ability to query, to ask questions, and be in dialogue to where you gain tremendous amounts of information if you know what to ask for. You ask the right questions, you'll get all the answers that you want, but you got to ask the right questions. All right. So, what I thought I'd do today is, guys, some of you have been with me for years, literally almost decades. Technically, it is decades, and others may be new, but I train and teach with with a kind of a wide bandwidth of experience and information, from options to the psychology of trading, to technical indicators, to Japanese candlesticks. And I wanted to let this morning be just kind of a free form. I want to share with you and teach you and train you anything and everything that might be of value. And this will work today if some of you will just take the lead and say, tell me more about, or how does this work? Or how do I stop from doing this? Or how do I accomplish in a trading plan something that will stick? How do I overcome the psychological challenges that seem to disrupt and or sabotage my trading, my mindset? Um, the trading mindset, the psychology of trading is something that I have spent a tremendous amount of time and effort into, and I feel like I've discovered some incredibly valuable things. So if you don't mind, I mean, the option was to just say, I can't do this. I didn't want to do that. But then I thought, you know what? Let's just open it up and I will address whatever subject comes up. I'll use the whiteboard to telestrate. Um, but I mean, drain me, stump the dummy. Ask me any question you think you could stump me on, and you probably succeed. But I would just love the challenge. I would just love the challenge. Brenda says the mindset is the biggest hindrance to me. All right, Brenda, let's see if we can address this. I'm going to go here to annotate. Okay. And let's see. All right, why did that change screens here on me? Okay, hang on a second. We want to get to a, there we go. Let me go back to, do a whiteboard here if I can. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me open up make sure I can see the chat again. All right, so um, Brenda, give me a confirmation if I do a little check mark on the screen. Do you see that? I'm writing on the screen. Can you see that, guys? I just made a little check mark. Yeah, okay, good. All righty. All right, Brenda. First of all, this is a huge subject, mindset, but there are some things that I will give you in very concise and short fashion that I think will be very valuable, and they'll be different from, I believe, anything you've ever heard anybody say other than me. Brenda, when you trade, you are dealing with this. It's a triangle, it's a triad, it's a tripod, whatever you want to call it. But you are dealing with a um, a process where the market is designed by, I think, just by evolution. The market is designed to play upon or prey upon all the things that are uh, kind of natural instincts, and it works against you. You've heard me talk about fear and greed. That's not writing very well, but you get it right there. I believe that there's no such thing as greed in the market because it's misunderstood. It's a reflection of fear. Everything is built on fear. And the fear is of the unknown. Okay? Babies are born with two fears naturally, falling and loud noises. Loud noises cause you to be startled. Falling threatens your existence. Those two things you start with. Every other fear you learn in your life comes by experience. It's not born. You come with two fears, loud noises and falling, period. And both of them are connected with the unknown and being startled. Okay? When you go into a trade, Brenda, you have no way of knowing exactly how it's going to go. Therefore, there is an unknown. Subconsciously, you know, if you risk something that has pretend dollars, you really are not worried about it. If they're phony dollars, if it's real money, then something triggers in you if you value that money, and you have now a risk factor, a fear factor. If you're putting that money out there where someone else could take it, there's a little bit of anxiety that goes with it. That starts a thought process that is based in fear if you value that money, because you know in your heart of hearts, in your subconscious, that there's no way to know whether or not this money's coming back to you. You hope it is, but you don't know. Is it going to come back all or part or with a profit? You don't know. So the underlying mindset is that every time you go into a trade, part of your subconscious is in fear mode, and you can't not do that. You can't not have that happen. It's a subconscious core level function of your brain. And when that unknown is in there, there's part of your brain that's going on defense. It is questioning. It is nervous. It's worried. Okay. That can influence your decision making. All right. It is. Now, when you go into a trade, the way you balance that out, and let me just augment this one more step. If this is a playing field, and over here is the bleachers where people are sitting watching the game, when you trade, you have the impression in your mind that you are playing, you're entering the trade. The truth is, you're not. You are not in the playing field. You're not in the arena, on the ground, on the court, in any way, shape, or form. Brenda, this is you. You're in the bleachers because you have no control over what happens in the game. What you do have control over is if you leave or you stay. If you stay in the trade. If you leave the trade. Those are the only two decisions you can make, other than raising or lowering your exposure. But you cannot influence what happens there. If you can accept that and really accept that, you're ahead of most people, because subconsciously, without thinking about it, they put themselves in a position of thinking about being on the field and influencing the outcome. So accept that. Now, this challenge, the tripod over here, is going to come into play. But let me segue into this by saying that when you go into a trade, if you could stay neutral, neutral, if you could stay neutral, it would negate the fear. If you weren't worried about the outcome of this trade, you could trade calm. Now, You've heard people, I'm no doubt, say you need to learn to trade without emotion. I think that's baloney. It's just bull. Okay. I'll shorten it. It's bull. You can't trade without emotion. Nobody's a stone cold piece of ice. All right. But calm is an emotion, isn't it? Calm. Why not trade calm? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with trading with the emotion calm? There's nothing. How could you be calm if you are neutral? So, Brenda, when you go into a trade, if you can define what the reward is, what is the reason to get into this trade? What could possibly make my life happier by going into this trade? And then you say, what could go wrong? And you define that risk. And instead of the risk being something you can't handle, if the risk is I lose 100% of what I put into the trade, that's probably not a good trade. Most people are not happy with that. Now, you're told to do that. If you're not willing to lose it all, don't risk it. I agree. But putting $3,000 into a trade doesn't mean you're risking 3,000. What if you defined $3,000 as the potential upside on this trade, and you defined $300 as your downside? Could you go into that trade saying, I've got a 4-to-1 chance of making the 3,000? The odds are 4 times greater than having the 300 taken away from me. Could you go into that trade and stay calm? Well, in theory, most people could say, yeah, I could do that. Now, the proof is take the $300 away and see if they start squealing, or if they get nervous, or if they go kick somebody or yell at somebody on their way home. Then you weren't really telling the truth. But if you can put yourself, Brenda, in this mindset of I will risk X for X, and if it's a 4-to-1 ratio, most people would say, if I'm going to risk or if I'm going to go for 3,000 potential, what's a quarter of that? Well, it's 750. Okay. So if you said, I will risk 750 for a 4-to-1 chance of making 3,000, that might be a reasonable trade. I would like that. That's the odds that I like to trade with. And if I do that, that is a bargain. And I've got to be in a position to say, I'm okay with having $750 go away. That's my cost of admission for a 4-to-1 chance of making 3,000. Brenda, that mindset will change everything for you because it takes you to this place. But you have to be honest. If this is too much, then you go, I'm going after 300 and I am willing to spend $75 to find out. That's your cost of admission. That's your cost, Brenda, to get into the theater or to get into the bleachers. Now, you may not like the show. You may not like the game. The team that you wanted to win may lose. Okay, well, that can happen. You can't change that. But you went into the bleachers and you had to consciously say, I'm willing to spend $75 for a chance at getting 300, and I've got a 4 or at least a 3-to-1 chance of making that based on the way the trade is. Brenda, I summarized hours and hours of seminar time and training, detailed training, with just this analogy right there. And I would like to know if that helps. Does that help you? From a mindset standpoint, that's the core. That really is the core. Can I trade neutral? Because if you can't trade neutral, the market will play on your other fears. It will play on, and it will cause you to make all kinds of bad decisions, and they compound. But if you can be neutral going into a trade, you can avoid being whipsawed around by the emotions that will be negative. You want to trade with this emotion, calm, and that's possible. Brenda said, yes, this did help. And Norman said, that's a huge help. I need to hear it over and over again. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Real quick, the tripod. All right. The tripod, guys, it's the function of recognizing that there are 3 distinct roles. And when I say roles, these have to do with personalities, These have to do with skill sets. And there's 3 distinct skill sets, personalities, roles that have to be utilized in order to pull off good trading over a period of time. You have to have an observer. This is the calm. This is the oversight. This is being able to stand back and keep things in perspective. You have to have the mechanic, the soldier, the cook, somebody who actually does the work. And you have to have the coach. Now, I've used a lot of different minds or analogies to illustrate this. Somebody has to call out the trade. This is what we're going to do. I've looked at it. We've got a 4-to-1 ratio. We're going to enter here. We're going to exit here. If this happens, then we're going to do this. If that happens, then we'll do that. Somebody calls out this play. They hand the ball over here. They hand the play to the mechanic, to the quarterback, to the player on the field, however you want to, the boots on the ground, make any analogy. And this person actually makes the trade. This person executes the plan. This person up here, arguably the most important, watches these two play and make sure that they play nice. Make sure that the coach is calling a good play, and make sure that the mechanic is executing that. The player is actually running the play correctly, right? And the role of the observer is to make sure that things don't get out of whack. If they do get out of whack, the observer says, stop. What's going on? What's wrong? Tell me what's going on. Can we fix it? What do you need to do? Okay. All right. Yeah, I get it. Can you fix that? Yes. All right. We ready to go? All right. Spin it back up. And then the observer disappears. And they just watch. Now, guys, I have advocated a training or a trading process that would incorporate 3 different personalities. Some people are really good at this observer. Some people are really good at calling the play. And some people are really good at executing. I have not met anyone that is equally balanced in all 3 of those. Everybody I've ever met in trading or in my life has a strong suit of 1 or 2 and a weak spot in one of the other 3. Therefore, when you trade, you just need to recognize that you are in here, and you may be strong in the trading side and the observing side, but you feel inadequate in your ability to recognize the play and call the drill and call the play, or any other combinations. I've advocated finding a partner, finding somebody that maybe has the opposite skill. I've even advocated that you use a friend or a spouse, so that when you try to do these roles, when you call out the trade, you ask someone else to say, what does that look like to you? When you're executing the trade, you can ask somebody, am I following my own rules? As soon as you bring a third party, as soon as you bring another person into it, it changes what you do. It changes how you see it. Because now you're not alone in your subconscious. Now you feel the obligation to make things make sense. If you involve somebody else to watch what you're doing, you will do it better. It just is the way it works. But when you sit there by yourself, you will drift over into your strong suit and go weak in another one, or vice or any combination. And eventually that bites you. So people who've got a lot of skill, they've got a lot of knowledge, they know a lot, they've got time, they've got experience, and they still keep making the same mistakes over and over again. It is devastating. Okay? It's so discouraging. Can you start to wonder, am I really any good? What's wrong with me? I've been trying to do this a long time. Guys, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just struggling in this triangle, and you're trying to do it alone. Now, I can't go into any more detail. I could go for hours on this, but the principle is there, and it's a true principle. And if there's a way for you to find someone that you can talk to bounce things off of, even another trader, say, hey, let me bounce this off you. As soon as you start talking and involving a third party, it changes, folks, and it changes for the better. All right. Okay. All right. So let me go back up and we'll take second question, see where that came from. All right. Let me go back up. Trip, you're the second one. Trip says, to lead into it, I bought the S&P put at the end of the day on Wednesday. I had a gut feeling about it and it worked out. One of the greatest things I've learned from you was that I was willing to spend $349 to find out what would happen. Please expand on the ideas of gut feeling and the cost to find out. Well, I kind of did without even reading your question, Trip. So way to go. That's excellent. Now, the gut feeling he talked about, I talked about this last time I talked with you guys. And this is so important. And this will tie into what we're just saying, and I'll do it very quickly. When you have things not work out, you start questioning yourself, right? And you're wondering, gosh, what's wrong with me? Sometimes I hit it, sometimes I don't, and you feel kind of frustrated. I get that. What about this? I love this. Tripp just brought up this idea of your gut. Can you trust your gut? And the answer is, I don't know, and neither do you. But I know how to find out. I know how to find out. What if you said, I'm going to make the next 10 trades, and I'm just going to follow my gut. I'm going to follow when I look at the situation, whatever I think about, the first thing I think about, gut, by the way, is first thing. If you wait and think about it, you'll get 5, 6, 7, 10 different things bounce around your head, and you're confused. Gut means trade off the first. I want to find out, can I trust my gut, my instinct? Can I? And the answer is, I don't know, and neither do you, but here's how you find out. So let's take the next 10 trades, and I'm going to follow my gut. Now, you don't have to put actual hard dollars in. You could put $10 in, or you could put no dollars in. Just trade honestly and trade off of it. And you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You do the 10 trades. How many times did it work? How many times did it not work? Tally it up. What if you find out that it worked 8 out of 10 times? I would say you just found out that your gut is tradable. What if it was not that good? Okay. What if 8 out of 10 times your gut was wrong? Doesn't that help? Yeah. If you sit there and beat yourself up, no, it's not going to help. But what do you know? Now you know. Now you know. If I took my first instinct, 80% of the time it's going to be wrong. So now you do a new experience, a new experiment, and you say, I'm going to trade 10 times where I deliberately trade opposite my first instinct. And if you do that and you duplicate this and it works by doing that 8 out of 10 times, you go, booyah. Guys, there's no pride involved here, right? This is not a contest of or indictment of how good or bad you are. It's how smart you are. Can I follow my gut or not? Just because you can't follow your gut doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you could be wealthy because now you've learned, right? Now you know the formula for when I trade, my instinct, my first gut tends to be wrong. If I go the opposite, it tends to work. Okay, I don't know if that's the case or not, and neither do you, but that's one way to find out. So that was an awesome question, Trip. It really was. It really was. Jennifer says, I started trading stocks today. Coulda, shoulda done it sooner. My protected puts are helping. My mindset has been don't sell low, but I've reached my limit. Hard decisions today. I'm at peace with it. Okay, Jennifer, take to heart what I just said over the last few minutes. All right. Right now, I'm sensing some disappointment and some anxiety, and there's no reason for that. There really isn't. There may be when looking back, but not looking forward. Jennifer, it doesn't cost you necessarily anything to find out how to change and improve. But it does require that you trade, and it does require that you listen and hear and get information. You can test out everything without putting hard dollars. But as soon as you think that you're starting to get something, I encourage you to put a few bucks in. For Trip, he says, yeah, it's $349. Hey, what if it's $50? Whatever it is that you're not afraid to have taken away from you, that you're willing to spend to find out. I'm willing to spend $50 to find out if this works. Okay, do it. And if it doesn't work, that's $50 well spent. Now you know. So if you were honest about it, it was no big deal, right? Don't give up. Don't say I've reached my limit. And if I'm hearing a sense of anxiety there, no, take heart what we've talked about here. You can train and improve and grow with no limit. Just start experimenting, start trading, and make it so that you can survive the process. You will learn by doing. And it doesn't mean you're bad if something doesn't work. Edison tried 1,000 different combinations before he got the right filament in his light bulb. And he said, after the fact, it was beautiful. He said, I tried 900, I'm not the exact number, but you'll get the analogy. I tried 999 things to make sure that they were wrong before I found the right one. Okay, it was a success. All he did was eliminate the things that didn't work. And you can do the same thing. It's not an indictment on you. You're just smart enough to say, I'm going to see if this one works. Nope. Try the next one. Nope. All right, now I know these guys don't work. I'm that much closer to the one that's going to work. And you can survive the process. Barry, the market has just dropped again after President Trump's speech. I just lost a bundle on several credit spreads, even with far down puts. What should I do? Stay in, close out, maybe move to adapt to it? This has happened previously too, even with conservative entries. We might be in another COVID hit. Yeah, personally, Barry, I don't buy it. Not yet. I think that the dawn is before it comes after the darkest period. And I think when you attack something that has been so problematic, that you're going to have some really strong reactions. That's personal. Okay. You don't have to agree with it. That's what I think. But it has nothing to do with your question, right? There's no politics involved in here. Barry, you should have known in this trade, whether it was a cyclone that hit New York. Cyclones don't hit on the West Coast. Okay, so maybe it was some catastrophe that hit and knocked the market out for 3 days, or it was something that happened in Europe. It doesn't matter what it is. If something happens, it's going to trigger what Tripp talked about. It's going to trigger your worst case scenario. There should not be, oh my gosh, I lost a bundle. Can I try to change your language just a little bit, Barry? And you're not going to like this. Okay, you didn't lose a dime. Barry, you did not lose a dime. The trade cost you exactly what you agreed to. There shouldn't be any question of, oh my gosh, what do I do? This has happened twice. Well, everything I've said today, Barry, is relative to your question and to your statement. And your statement says a lot in my mind. And again, I'm being honest with you. All right. Your statement says a lot about your mindset. And it's not where it should be. Your trade cannot cost you any more than you agree to spend to find out. There should not be a, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And there should not be a spiking the football and jumping up and down and going, yes, I beat the market. Okay, that's baloney. All right. Should I stay in? Should I close? Barry, that's part of your game plan. Those questions should have already been answered. What do I do if this happens? What do I do? If that happens, what do I do? Execute the play. Just execute the play. Well, I didn't have all those scenarios in the play. Well, then it wasn't a good play. It wasn't a good play setup. I don't know what to do if this happens. Well, okay, then we missed that in the pregame and the setup on the trade before we ever got into it. And again, I can't see your face, Barry. I might see you going, nodding your head, going, yeah, you're right. Or I might see you going, what the heck are you talking about? I don't know. I can't see you, right? But I do know that what I'm saying is right. Guys, you never go into a trade unless you agree to the consequences. Tripp said it perfectly. I decided it was worth $349 to find out. Turns out it worked out for him. Great. Well, what if it didn't? It wasn't a bad trade. It was an excellent trade. If that trade cost Tripp $349, it's a perfect trade. Yeah, but he lost money. No, he didn't. He did not lose a dime. He spent $349 to find out if that was going to be a good trade. Plain and simple. And guys, if you can't get to that mindset, you will be subject to whipsaws, emotional whipsaws, up and down, in and out, and oh my gosh, and eventually something bad happens enough, and you throw your hands up in the air and knock over the potato chip display on your way out of the mini market, and just kick the door open and yell some expletives and say, I quit. Okay. If it gets frustrating enough, that's what happens, but it shouldn't be. It doesn't have to be. If you have your very tightly controlled trade set up and it costs you $349, 3 or 4 trades in a row, what's my advice? What have I trained you guys? You stop. You go, okay, the plan is not working the way we set this up. Let's do a deep dive and figure out what has changed. What do I need to modify? I decided in my plan that if 3 trades went against me in a row, that I would stop trading with real or with actual dollars, and I would go into a deep dive and see what do I need to change. Guys, this is pragmatic, but unless you can see it and accept that context, you'll get emotionally sucked in. You've got to trade neutral and calm. How do you do that? By having a clear plan that identifies the outcomes, good or bad, cost or profit, but not loss. Nobody can steal money from you in the market. You put it out there. You say, hey, this money is for grabs, but only this much. I'm going to put $5,000 into this trade, but there is only, and I mean only, $1,300 at risk here. If somebody comes up and takes my 13, I'm done. That could happen. But there's a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 ratio that says that I could make the 5,000 and double it or triple it or whatever it is. But I'm not risking the 5,000. I'm only risking 1,300 because of the potential profit. And I'm okay with that. Guys, if you can adopt that, it will change your life from a trading standpoint. It might even change your life in general. All right. Jennifer, yeah, I've lost 200,000 from high because I didn't see. Okay, again, Jennifer, I just preached the choir to Barry, but it went to everybody, including you, my dear. And I mean that with the most sincere affection. You didn't lose anything. I'm sad that 200,000 is gone. I really am. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But whether you did it on purpose or not, you gave that away. You literally did. When you trade, guys, you know what you're spending to find out, and you have a toleration limit. And if it's not working, you stop. Mommy, it hurts when I do this. Well, stop doing that. I had 4 trades in a row go against me. Well, maybe you should have stopped after the 3rd one, but something's obviously not working. Let's do a deep dive and figure out. Did it cost you money you couldn't afford? No. Okay, then everything's fine. Did it cost money you couldn't afford to have taken away from you? Yeah, I can't afford. Well, then you shouldn't have had it at risk. I'm sorry, guys. I'm being the coach. Brenda says, will you explain a protective put? No, I don't have time to do that, but I'm sure Tripp or Rob or anybody else you ask, or when I get back, we can pick it up and I'll do that, but not right now. Jennifer, I'm going to change my strategy. Protect the book. They're working right now. Yes, always learning. Yeah, that's my issue. Okay, good. Barry, I paid a lot for a lesson. All right, my friend, I'm glad that you didn't take offense. I'm just saying it how it is, and it's true. Okay. Brenda nailed it. She said, I paid to see if it would work. That's right. Tripp, No I word. It's the cost of doing business. Exactly. Exactly. More great concepts that you've taught me. Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Brenda, call the play, execute the play, observe the play. Yes, my dear. Yes, 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 yes. Guys, there's so much to this, and it's not going to be some magic AI program that somebody sells you, and it's not going to be a new strategy. I just learned this new strategy. Guys, if you can't control what's happening up here in your cranium, if you can't move towards trading with the one emotion that counts, which is calm, neutral, then it's going to be just a slow process of death by 1,000 cuts. All right. You've got to be able to achieve that neutral, that calm. And if you can control your risk so that when you have something at risk, it's not something that's going to hurt. It'll sting a little bit. Okay. I think it should. I think it should be a little prick because then it's real. I lost $100. I lost $300. Okay. But if I had really done this trade incorrectly, it could cost me 3,000. Well, that's a win. Trade went against you. Did it cost you 3,000 you put in? No, it cost me 300. I got out because I had already decided if this happens, I'll do that. That happens, I'll do this. When it drops this far, I'm going to do this. When it drops a little farther, I'll do that. If it goes any farther, I'm out. And the trade didn't work. Okay, great. Great, great, great. Guys, if you have got a 4-to-1 ratio, the odds are extremely huge in your favor. If you roll a dice with a 4-to-1 ratio, good grief, you're going to win, right? You're going to win. If you're guaranteed when you roll the dice that 3 out of 4 times you're going to win, that's a winning strategy. Especially when it goes against you, it's only ever a small amount. But if it goes in your favor, it's open-ended. If you have open-ended upside and a very controlled downside, you could go 50-50 and make money. If the trade went against you or for you every other time, you're going to make money. If you've got a 3-to-1 ratio, it's just the way it works, guys. So adopting and accepting and learning how to trade calm because you controlled the outcomes and you're okay with the risk, you'll make a whole lot better decisions. You have the right ratio, you will have success. You have a game plan before you ever go into the trade, you'll have success. Guys, that's those are the simple things that everything else is built on. Now I've said many times, let anybody teach you strategies, they teach you anything you want to learn. But if you don't have control of what's going on between your ears, if you can't trade in that neutral space where it's pragmatic, it's deliberate, it's scientific, then you really are going to have a rough go. Brenda, this was much needed from me and my family. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. I love you. And we'll see you in a few months. God bless. God bless all of us, like Tiny Tim says. God bless all of us. And guys, don't get too wound up in what's going on politically or in the markets. These have a way of working themselves out. Big changes provide big opportunity. Remember, traders want volatility. Investors want stability. Okay? This is a trading class, not an investing class. Traders want volatility. And if you've got a good game plan, no matter what happens, there's opportunity there. Okay? If you're an investor, you sit there and you celebrate when it's going your direction and you cry when it goes the other way because you only have 2 options. It's either up or down as an investor. As a trader, up is good, down is good. Just move. Just move. When the market sits there like the Sargasso Sea and just is stagnant, that's horrible for traders. Okay, so if you're going to be a trader, you got to learn to swim in deep, rough water and adapt. That's it. Barry, thank you. Appreciate the thoughts about my family. Appreciate that. Norman, wish you and your family the best, and your daughter. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Again, God bless, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.